Well, hey, it's that time. Sorry, I've been digging through Legos a little bit. Let's see here. Still trying to get chat up and all those things. Actually, I was wondering if anyone can even hear the music, because that's kind of a new thing I'm trying to do, is play some music in the background while I'm doing some stuff. So the goal of today actually is to do two things: to get a little bit more model making, get really set up to make molds, and so we can cast some figures probably within the week. I got my main dude. I haven't figured out a name for him yet, but I got him all ready to make a mold for. This is the first time for me for all that, so I'm just kind of figuring things out. I got some clay. I can kind of stick them in place and kind of figure out where would be the best for venting and for pour-ins on him. I have to go through my Legos because I need walls more than one brick tall, but we're just for sizing things up right now, we're just going to use one brick. And I should be able to see what's going on just with that. But before that, let's get started with a little bit more of molding. I'm still working. I got a new project I'm kind of working on in the background too. And back to the epoxy mold. Let's go ahead and switch over to overhead cam. Man, last time I was much more organized than this. Why isn't this showing anymore? No, I decided not to show anymore. Well, you know who I am. All it is my logo. If you're here, you probably have seen me before. If not, welcome to TESTPLUG. We do interviews once a week, and then the rest of the week, here and there, we stream me trying to build something. I'm really excited with the tax money coming in. There's a chance that we'll be maybe having some money for working on the bike again. I really like that go up and going, even though we're going into winter and really what's the point of it right now, but it'd be nice to actually have the project done. That's waiting on when I redid the whole front end, where I have my headlights and stuff, there's nowhere to hide or pass the, look about the same, maybe a little off this one. There's no way to pass the throttle or brake lines through, or clutch lines. So I'm going to have to redo those with some custom lines because the stock ones are too big and or too small-ish. I don't know. They just won't work with the way I redid the lighting. There's also a chance with new ones they won't be as stiff either. These don't have much play in them, which is good because you want a good response to throttle control, but at the same time they don't allow you to have much bend to put them where they would conveniently be. I mean, sadly, that's about really all that I need going. I have my brake lines now, and I have exhaust pretty well done. I just haven't all taped it all up and gotten all that done. But I kind of ran out of money when the government stopped giving me money, so we'll see how that goes. Rent's a real thing, so. All right, well, we're mixing our 2-part epoxy putty here. Get this to a good stage, and we'll set it off to the side while we start playing with some Legos here. hoping the music plays through, because I kind of like this option of music going in the background. And it's all YouTube free music, so I don't have to worry about getting booted off anything. Not that with my 86 subscribers now, buddies. That's right, I'm up to 86. But I don't have to worry about that too much with that few followers. Subscribers? Subscribers. They're not followers. They're not following me anywhere. There's no magic cliff that I'm going to be jumping off anytime soon. Alright, so let's just set that there. And now let's play with some Legos. Alright. So the goal is to make a two-part. And if I do that, maybe I'll do it a little bit bigger. And I can cut that off. Everything should drop down and in and fill all the cracks around that. I mean, I could do it like that just to keep that bodacious booty up top. But I'd like to do, this is a big enough mold where I could do more than one thing here. Although that's, I've seen that that's not always the best. Maybe I could just do his, this really, if I do that and that, I think that'd be pretty decent. Those edges could be an issue, but I'm not over worried about them. They're not huge. They are enough to get a, we better go this way. So it's constantly getting bigger as it goes up and then vent at the top. Maybe it would be. So if I do that as one, I can do a vent off here. And a vent off there. And that should pretty much cover it. So now let's look at some legs and arms. Wait. I haven't done this in a while, so welcome back to Jeremy's trying to keep his sanity. Man. Guess that's why this thing's all bent up, because whoever played with it last. Need one of those Lego pullers. I think I have one. Alright, well, that's good enough for now. So let's see here. I got this shape and I got this shape for the legs and arms. I put a first coat of primer on these. Let's see if we can get this up there a little bit. First coat of primer on these. I'm going to put a second coat on before I paint them. I have a little bit of wet sanding on them to do just to smooth them out a little bit. But the shape's all there. On the body, I went in and I actually filled the holes and then just put some dimples on them, because with the dimples I'll know exactly where to drill, and it's a lot easier than worrying about air bubbles in those areas. And I can just put a drill guide and stop at a certain depth. I did get magnets. Got some fancy magnets. I don't know if I'll be able to use these in all of them, but the goal is on one side. These, I don't know if you can see those or not. Camera's right where the thing is, but they have a hole in them where you can put a screw actually through the magnet, and with that, I'm hoping I can go on the outside of these with a hole and just go a little bit deeper and screw it right in place. But we'll see how that goes. They were a little bit bigger than what I had planned, so I'm a little upset about that. I thought I got one size and apparently I got another, but I'm not going to reorder them because they're close enough that I'm not going to worry about it. But anyway, so that's the deal with those. Okay, so legs. Let's see, so everything is going to flow down. I'll pour it in. And there's not really edges here, except for underneath here. So as long as I come up here with a breather, these should be fine. So I should be able to do both legs. And I'll fill in that little hole. I don't even know why I didn't have that. So I'll have fill points on those. So and those really are not going to come out, are they? It's okay to use holy logos as long as you put on the inside a non-holy one, right? Isn't that how it works? Okay, so I think as long as we do this, actually that can go a little smaller. You got to put enough material around them so that you have something to work with, but you don't want so much material that you're wasting a ton of the mold material, the silicone mold material, because, well, let's just say that stuff's a little pricey. I don't know if you guys heard or not, but I won the won the Smooth On contest, so I actually am getting some free supplies. I'm pretty excited about that. Hopefully that stuff will come in sooner than later. Okay, so that's fine for that. We still have to get the head in somewhere too. Yeah, I don't know if I can do both the head and the arms in one. Let's see, where is... I think if I do... Once again, I'll just put a little dimple there because I'll know where to drill that. I think if I put a couple of fill ports... Man. It's pretty smooth. So I suppose if I go off put on a little bit of an angle and go off the side of its head, like back here in the chin area. I don't know, the arms are going to be fun too, so I want the stuff to drip down into the arms. I might have to put a fill tube. If it goes, oh man. yeah, this is all just new territory for me, so bear with me as I figure this out. So that's everything. Let's see, I can make this one a little longer. And then do the head and the arms in there. If I do that, I think that'll work. Nice thing is I have some buddies I can send off pictures to and see what they think. That's the nice thing about doing this podcast is I've been able to find some people that have been in the business long enough to know that this is a dumb idea, this is a great idea, and with no judgment, and just people to help me out. Okay. So I think that's basically how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna take a picture of this and then send it off. All right. Well, that's cool. Set those to the side. Glad I figured that out. All right. So, project. You can probably see some Yoshi heads here. And I've been adding some horns to our Yoshis. I cut off the bodies of our Yoshis because we have a new body to Yoshi. So these will be the 3 heads here. You might recognize him from Godzilla. Hopefully you should stick on okay. I don't think they'll interfere with each other too much. And that's the goal, is to get that on there. The trouble I'm having right now actually is finding a good gold paint. This is a very yellow gold. I know it's out there, but I just have to find a revenue or a resource for it. So this guy will be what we're working on now. I got 2 more horns to build, and then I have 1 more project I'm working on. Let's get some horns built. I made way too much. Maybe I'll start working on a secondary head. I've thought about making 2 heads for my guy. It's kind of a, you know, premier figure. You can get 1 of 2 heads. It'd be kind of a cool option. And then I had thought about 2 different weapons before, but I don't know. I kind of like that idea of sending out a second head. So this is basically just taking a little cone of it and then making twisting it just a little bit to give it a little bit of a spiral effect. And once I have it in place, I can get on. That one's a little bigger than I wanted, actually. Take a little bit off that. It's weird how this stuff, like, is really solid, but it'll tear goofy too. Like, if you're not careful, it tears, and then you have tear marks on it, and that's, yeah, like, see this? How twisting it just tears it, as opposed to it. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good there. So all the original heads had 2 horns. Pretty hard to find. They all had 2 horns, but they were kind of in different configurations. So I'm kind of trying to recreate that a little bit. What I got so far. These coming back a little bit. I got these kind of coming up a little bit. And then these other ones will be kind of right next to each other, I'm thinking. It's kind of funny. It looks a little bit more like crusty clown hair than it does like horns a little bit, but. Man, do I have anything I can stick this in? Yeah, it's been kind of the odd around here lately. Motivation has been turned down a little bit, just with nonsense going on, trying to figure out, you know, if we're going to be getting money again. If so, how much? And I know I'm not alone on any of that. It's pretty common all across the states. But I think we're doing okay right now. Doing better than some. So I really shouldn't complain at all. Alright, one last horn. I guess I can bring this on here so you can see what I'm doing. So I used to do electrical, and the whole righty-tighty, lefty-loosey thing also has to do with how wire nuts go on a set of wires. And half the problem, no, I shouldn't say half, it's way less than half, but a lot of times what you'll run into where somebody's like a homeowner or someone's done some electrical work around the house is, maybe they've actually even put wire nuts on, but they turn the nuts the wrong way. And the funny thing about electrical is that it is, you think of electricity, oh, it's power, but realistically, it has a lot of the same attributes of other things. So it heats and cools just like, well, I should say, it heats and cools the wires just like anything else. So with heating and cooling, you have shrink and growth. So what happens is, as you know, let's say you turn the power on to a light bulb. Well, now power's coming through and it's heating up those wires. Well, so when it's done, all that cools down, and so it shrinks again because it's cooling down again. So with that constantly going back and forth of heating up and cooling down, heating up and cooling down, eventually contacts will actually, the metal that is in your wiring will actually work its way apart from each other within a wire nut. And if it's not on there tight enough, or if it's not screwed the proper direction, potentially it could cause either a default in the wiring where, you know, the light wouldn't work, which would be your best bet, or worst case scenario, it would start arcing and it could actually potentially create a fire. So with, in my head, always doing the same motion for tightening wire nuts all the time, it's a very distinct motion that you feel in your fingers every once in a while. And so where that all comes down to is that in making these little horns, it reminded me very much of the motion of tightening wire nuts. What that has to do with mold making, none whatsoever. Nothing to do with mold making, but it was a fun little story anyways. All right, so, man, I wish this would just stay here. Maybe I can prop something in there and keep it from rolling over again. Okay, good, that's there. All right, let's work on another head. So we got kind of a dragon head there. What kind of head are we gonna make for that body? I could do like a little dinosaur head. Swan. What else do people think are cute? Well, a cat, obviously, but I don't want to exactly do a cat. Ooh, a platypus. Platypus is by far my favorite animal. Let's take some of this off right now, because I think it's going to end up being a little too big. Platypuses are basically, I believe, a joke from God. I don't think that they are thought out in any way. I think it's just a revenue of parts were left over somewhere, and a statement was made, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we did this? Now, I know people have different opinions on what God is or who God is, but I don't think it really makes any sense any other way. I don't think evolution does a very good job of explaining the platypus other than it's a mystery. And then, well, what have humans been able to explain other than, you know, some basic elemental properties of things? So it had to be one of those things that we, well, maybe never know who or why the platypus. This is really soft right now for trying to do anything serious. Let's see if we can give this a little bit of time here. Maybe I'll look up some pictures of some platypuses and trying to get some look there. I mean, realistically, it could be a duck too, but I want to go with platypus. Alright, we're going to stick that on there for right now. Okay, so what else can we work on? Do I want to reveal Lothar yet? I don't know that I do. Well, actually we can clean up these horns a little bit. I've been meaning to do that in a little bit anyways. So we can put him off to the side there. And a little bit, and let that dry just a little bit so we can do some more modeling. His horns, although, are pretty. I do want to kind of just blend them in a little bit here at the base. I'll probably go through and prime these before I paint them gold, just because there's now about 3 different layers of paint slash epoxy putty slash re-put in some of these horn creases. These were a cheap pair of set of files, but they've pretty much been my whole tool lineup. I mean, I've used a couple other tools with model making, but man, I might actually spend a bit on a better set eventually, just because I didn't realize how much I'd be using these. I thought I'd be using more sandpapers and stuff like that. But man, these files have been wonderful for this. Well, I guess tomorrow we should find out about our money situation. It'll be interesting to see how soon that comes. You know, after they took an extra, what, half a year to figure out if they were going to do it or not. And it's not something I'm super political about, it's just something that unfortunately it does affect my everyday livelihood. You know, obviously I'm not a starving parent or anything like that, so like I said, I have it better than some, but it would be nice to actually not have to squeeze for rent every month. And as far as job prospects, oh, who knows? It's not looking like restaurants are going to open up anytime soon here in Seattle area. So you'll probably be getting more streaming from me for quite a while. Try not to put too much pressure on these because realistically I didn't pin them, so they're just stuck to the plastic. Brush so I can hear some of this. I'll scrub them with the toothbrush before I paint them. if anyone wants to recreate this, these Yoshi heads are from a McDonald's Nintendo toys from about, I think, 3 years ago. And a little, actually, I have one right here. So it's a little push button Yoshi. You push the back of his tail and his tongue comes out. I just lopped off its head and glued its tongue out. But it makes good cheap fodder for making models. If these work out pretty good, I might make molds of them, but man, it's a lot of edges to cast. So we'd have to see. I could maybe do a two-part, you know, if I cut it in half or something like that. Man, I wish somebody was on here so they could tell me whether the music's working or not. But I'll pretend it's all professional and I've been doing this, you know, all along and really, you know, have all my stuff together and so I think that's pretty much where I want those to go. Like I said, I'll wash those up and prime the head before, once I find my gold paint. I have some like model paint gold, but it's just not the right color. It's got way too much like copper in it. There is a Gamer's Workshop store up in Everett, so I might head up there and see what they think as far as for color matching that. I know there's some orc armor gold that's a yellow shiny gold like that, that they would probably have or know how to obtain. Man, we're back to the first episode where I'm just waiting for this stuff to dry so I can use it better. Yeah, it's still too big. Okay, we're going to take off about that much of that. Oh, there we are. So I have decided that I do like the safety solvent that Aves makes. They're the same company that makes the Apoxie Sculpt, and it is nice because there's a little bit of chemical reaction with it. It's not, you can't really smell it. It's not really a smelly type thing, but it definitely it seems to work just a hair better than water. which is, water doesn't work bad. And I basically just use it to kind of take some fingerprints out. It breaks down the mold just enough, like afterwards your paintbrush will be stiff if you don't wash it out from the epoxy in the bristles. Ooh, a little close to the microphone there. But this will take out most of these creases. Kind of work your finger across it a little bit. We're still in the pre-molding stage here a little bit, just kind of getting the general shape for Mr. Duckhead here. What else can I do with this? Maybe Mr. Duckhead will have kind of a cool little sword. A little bit of this off here. Roll it up into a handle. What's really funny is I threw away like a bunch of scrap earlier today to look about exactly like that. I probably didn't have to make a... And I know I can probably sand all this down. But if we can mold it beforehand. Nice because you can take this stuff and just even your little tip of your tool, you can really kind of use it. Yeah, I believe that's what this is. This is a whale tooth sword. Where did platypus come across a whale? That's the question we're going to answer here. He would not. Platypus would not come across a whale tooth, so he must have bought this at the local store. So that would imply that platypuses can shop. Well, of course platypuses can shop. The question is, can they pay the bills? Bad joke, sorry. Hey, nice, music is going. Those are Yoshi heads, Sterling. We got some people coming on here. They're no longer functioning. Yoshi heads from an old McDonald's toy. Okay, so back to the rest of the modeling here of my whale tooth sword. It would be his second molar in, just past his eye tooth, I believe. That's this. It's yeah. It's right off of medical documentation for whales. I'm sure anyone can look it up on the internet. 100% factual. Oof, that's a terrible song though. Yeah, that's the thing about YouTube music, is that, well, you kind of get what you don't pay for. Alright, so that is pretty close to what I want to do for that. I will eventually drill and post that in there. After this dries, get the shape pretty close to what we want. It's nice to have a couple of people on here. Hey Vigo, hey Sterling. Kevin Murphy. This stuff is just not hardening enough to actually do much more on it right now. You know what I can though? I can get some clay for these. So I'm going to... Well, so I picked up some modeling clay. I don't pick anything up. It comes from Amazon. I got some modeling clay. It's just some regular red clay. You want to make sure that it is an oil-based clay. And that's what you actually use for making your molds. The nice thing about these being two-part molds is that you can basically kind of put them in place where you need to and then work around them afterwards. It is once you warm it up a little bit, it's pretty malleable. It's pretty soft clay. You'll be tooling it a little bit, but it's not anything that you have to over worry about, because you actually want some imperfection in it, because it makes the silicons, when the two parts come together, it makes them meet up better and hold so that they don't crisscross on you and break your mold. All right, let's go back to overhead here. I'll put him out of the way. I'll work a little bit more on him after he hardens up a little bit more. All right, now I'm just gonna build some lines on these. Okay, so if I am filling him from this side, like that. I'll fill in all the other space around it with clay, but I just want to get basically where it's going to be sitting for right now. Already done dirted up my Legos. I need to bug Vigo about doing some Lego trade-off. Actually, I don't know that he would want to use his Legos for this. It might make him a little dirtier than he would want. Okay, so this guy, how do we decide? If we go this route, a little too thick over here. And build into that. And I can bring this, make this a little smaller, I think. So this is what's known as a two-part mold. Basically what you're doing is you are getting everything smooth to one side. You'll build up your walls. You'll fill over it with silicone. And then you will take it back out and then flip it over and pour the other side of your mold with what you didn't fill. This is my first attempt at doing that, so I'm sure I will fail miserably, but you gotta learn somewhere. Let's just say I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. So basically what I'm doing now is just getting this so it's right on the edge. It's making a full, it's touching every bit of the model. You really, around the model, the piece itself, you want this as smooth as you can. Because you want it to make a good connection to the other half of the mold. I'm sure if anyone's watching this that actually knows what they're doing. I'm sure they pretty much laughing at me at this point, because I'm picking like all the worst spots to probably do something here. I'm gonna try to get this. I don't know if you can see this, but I tried to split them perfectly down the middle there. Make sure I get a nice crease just past his cheek so I can shave it off a little bit. And hopefully it won't be too noticeable. Hoping to get these poured. I don't know, I'm waiting for some supplies to come in. Might talk to old Chris Jacobson and see what he's doing. He can give me some 6 feet away advice while I'm doing this. Actually, you know what? I think I'm changing this. I know I just did all that. But if it pours in... Man. So I have these little edges here. And they don't over matter. And I realistically could probably even just fill those. And it would do the job. But at the same time, I kind of want that definition. So I think I'm going to ask them. I'm still going to pour it from here. I'm just going to make sure that this is up there so that it pours. That's what I'll do. So wherever you have fill spots, you also have to have like sanding spots or... So if that's what I'll do. You gotta have a way for it to flow back out. So this is now my highest point. So it'll pour into here, but I'm still gonna run a vent into here so this can vent off. But at least this is my highest spot. So if I fill into this spot right here, I don't know. Like I said, I'll probably end up talking to some buddies on this before I actually pour anything while it's still fixable. But we'll see. Well, this is going to go on for a while. At this point, I've been trying to keep my shows around an hour. I'm going to get back into doing this twice a week. I think it would be good for me and good for you. But yeah, so that's that's basically where we're at today. I got those horns done. The Godzilla should be going pretty good. Hopefully I'll get my Lego straightened out and figure out what I'm going to need for sidewalls on these molds. I won't do the mold till the next episode, the actual pouring, just because I want you guys to see that, and I also want to get some clarifications on where I should vent these, and be able to show that to you too, because at this point some of that's up in the air for me. That's about it. I'm trying to think. There is a new design up on the t-shirt shop. I'll make sure that link's corrected on the YouTube page. And let's see. And I should be dropping my frenemy interview tonight, I believe. So it'll be an interview up for last week. The holidays have kind of gotten away from me, just like it's gotten away from everyone else. And it'll be good to be back on track again. I got some good interviewers coming up this next week or two. I have a miniature painter from London. She'll be showing us a little bit of her stuff, and also a good interview with her. And then I have, hopefully, if everything goes right, I might have a surprise interview coming up by the end of the week. So that being that, thanks for watching TESTPLUG.